Good morning to anybody who's out there, either listening live or later on. It's Eddie G's Music World. We're already into November, November 4th, 2019. It's unbelievable how fast, but it is happening right before our very eyes. I decided to try my unshaven face just for a week because there's a couple of guys on TV they have that unshaven look, and the women they go bonkers over them. Not that I'm looking for women, of course. I can't have any anymore. But, you know, I just wanted to try a different look. It might be shaved off tomorrow. I'm not sure about it. Last week I wanted to go to my one at wonders, but information overload kind of got the best of me, and I got caught in the middle of a excuse me, finding the list. So my bad, but now I found it again. Excuse me. I had it all along, but I just didn't look far down enough of a list that I had set aside, and I got a little flustered. So we're back. Eddie G's Music World. One hit wonders, acts that had one hit, and they either never made the top 40, never made the top 100. They were pretty much marginalized. They weren't big deals anymore. Next on the list, we're in the late 70s, 1979. Anita Ward, Ring My Bell. Kind of nice for a bit. It was fun. It was dopey song. I think she was a teacher and somebody convinced her to do a disco song. And Ring My Bell was just that. I mean, it wasn't containing brilliant words or great melodies. It was just a bunch of sound effects slapped together, and people danced to it. The next was kind of revolutionary. It was like a very big rap song, and it was kind of like towards the beginning of rap. Rap probably is just people talking over music. It's really been around for a lot longer than this song, but this song is credited as being kind of a rap beginning. Rapper's Delight, Sugar Hill Gang. I remember I had a new Walkman, and I was playing that song quite a bit. It keeps coming on the radio a lot. Super high in the charts. I don't remember if anybody came out of that band with any great following after that. There might have been somebody. There's a guy or two on here that at least likes to verify my comments, which is great because, like I said, any listening is I'm pleased to have. So that's that story. The next one, 1979. I remember having super long hair, and this song came on the radio all the time. And I was just that kind of guy. I mean, the hair was super long. I'm 19, and this song was played constantly. Now, I encourage anybody listening to go look these things up. Driver's Seat by Sniff and the Tears. I've been sniffing because I think I'm coming down with something. But that was a really cool alternative. It wasn't alternative. Was it new wave? It was just power pop. And Driver's Seat was kind of infectious. It had that great acoustic. I'm a big fan of acoustic strumming. And they were really got rock play, got all kinds of different play. And, it was an entertaining song for the time that it came out. And you hear it occasionally now. Driver's Seat, I would recommend you go listen to it if you don't know it. There's a lot of good production. Next is one of these girls, these women, that she flew in and out of the pop scene like a bird, like so fast. I mean, I believe she came out of the California studio scene where you have all these studio musicians, and you just put, it wasn't like a British thing. It was American, California, and Please Don't Leave. That's their song, Lauren Wood. I'm sure if I put it on, which I'm not doing anymore because the sound quality, the visuals are very unprofessional, and I don't want to be sticking microphones in my headphones to get you to music. We'll just leave it the way it is. So can't say a lot about Lauren Wood, but now that I see this here, I'm going to probably take a listen to it. And so that's her. Next is late 70s still, Nick Lowe, Cruel to Be Kind. Now, he did have a couple of other songs that got a lot of airplay. But Cruel to Be Kind, obviously. He was in a band called Brinsley Schwartz. And I think I saw Brinsley Schwartz, but whether he was in it at the time or not, it was mid 70s or late 70s. So it's kind of a big crapshoot to say I saw Nick Lowe or I didn't. I don't know. I'll leave it as that. Cruel to Be Kind was an incredibly infectious tune. I had a shot at seeing him in about 2003 or 4 or 5. And you know what I said? I do know 2 songs, maybe 3, something about rock and roll. And then there was another, I Love the Sound of Breaking. Was that him? No, that's Blondie. Something about Glass, or he had about 2, 3 songs that I liked. But, like I said to my friend Danny, who loves going to concerts, I just don't have the time, the energy to run far, far away for a huge drive and sit in on these guys with 2 or 3 songs anymore. I maybe did it years back. Now here I find this shocking that the Knack is on this list with My Sharona. Only because I seem to remember Baby Talks Dirty was a follow-up, and I guess their cutoff is top 40, so maybe it missed the top 40. But I thought they had a Baby Talks Dirty was a top 40 hit, but this is a Billboard list, so I'm going to take their word for it that that's their only top 40 hit. But I'm going to be looking it up a little later on to verify it. Next they were a big band for 1979. It was like people were saying, "Oh, it's the new Beatles. Look how they dress with the little ties." And then I heard the guy was pretty much a massive drug addict. He blew his money in swimming pools and coke, and the hits stopped coming within a year or two. And there's another guy in the band. You see him on. He turned into be a session guy later on. I can't remember his name, but there's remnants of the Knack that are still in the business. Maybe they all are. I don't know. The band Shoes. Really, Too Late, 1979. Gonna have to look into that one too because it doesn't mean much to me. It does not mean a lot to me at all. But maybe it's some great song. Maybe it's not. Now this song, the next one, I have a bit of a history with this band here, the Buggles. Video Killed the Radio Star. Two of the Buggles, one, I think Trevor Horn went and became the keyboardist. There's Jeffrey Downs and Trevor Horn. They left the Buggles, and one of them, I think Trevor Horn, ended up in Yes, and eventually Jeff Downs, he ended up being in Asia. Now I saw Asia, and after the show was finished, he came out the back end of this club, Jeffrey Downs. And this is 2010. I got his autograph. I talked to him, and I said, "So I guess we can say your song that you were, your big song, should now be changed to The Internet Killed the Video Star, since now everybody's stealing music, and before a video killed the radio star, now the internet is killing a video star." I mean, it was just something I thought of. I thought it was clever, and he did retort back to me, "Oh, I guess you're right, Lloyd. Yeah, I guess so." He was being polite. I mean, to me, it's a big deal to meet these rock stars. I find it very entertaining. These are people that have gone through things I will never go through. They've written, they've played, they've been live, they've been in, meetings with record company executives. It's kind of a fascinating world that they come from. Next is Tom Johnston. He's had a song called Savannah Nights. I do remember it vaguely. And this guy was the original lead singer of the Doobie Brothers. I did see the Doobie Brothers in 2016, and it was with him. It wasn't with Michael McDonald. It was with Tom Johnston. And I always said, why is it so hard to put Tom Johnston and Michael McDonald together and just one off, do both versions of the Doobie Brothers? It can't be that impossible. Michael McDonald still does shows. Tom Johnston is in the band currently. So did they hate each other? Was there a problem? Was there financial issues? All you got to do is say, Now it's Michael McDonald, and he comes on and he does What a Fool Believes and a few other ones. You know, the Michael McDonald era. Then you go back to Tom Johnson. You get the best of both worlds. Instead, you get only Tom Johnson's Doobie Brothers, which were great. So it's not like I didn't like the show. I really did. Next off, Boomtown Rats with I Don't Like Mondays. It's funny how these things in your memory, I don't remember it being a top 10, a top 40 hit. I thought it was like a minor hit, like below 80s. But of course, it was a true story about some woman that killed a girl or a woman that killed people in San Francisco, and they asked her why, and she said, "I don't like Mondays." And of course, Bob Geldof was in there, and he became a bigger issue with Live Aid and all the charity work. We do have another guy that I find myself listening to once in a while on the internet, on YouTube. Gary Newman with the song Cars. Extremely, he had a bunch of other songs. The Two Way Army had a song, and there was also other songs with just Gary Newman. He has a daughter that comes on this and does shows with him. I did see him twice live. Very entertaining guy. And I saw that Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails brought him on stage about 5 years ago to do, I think it's May I Disconnect from You or one of those songs that he made famous. So he was a big influence, of course. There is nobody saying anything. So maybe I will say hi. Hi from Eddie. Hi to my twin boys. In case they see this. Let's see, does that work? Yeah, I'll say hi to myself. It's okay. A lot of things that people do by themselves they're all right, Okay, we've gotten to this Gary Newman song, and now we're hitting the 1980s. Exciting year, many one-hit wonders waiting. Devo, Whip It. Almost went to see Devo. Didn't go. They freaked me out a little bit. I was 20 and I was like scared. Not scared, but they look like maniacs with those freaked out clothing and the spacesuits. And I was like, I don't know. These guys seem crazy. But anyway, Whip It was used for a lot of commercials. Like, what was the commercial? And they had a bunch of Jocko Home. Well, they had about 5 other popular songs. And Mark Mothersbaugh left Devo. I mean, the Devo probably didn't really end like suddenly. It just kind of maybe put it aside because he went back to it at some point. And he did a lot of movie soundtracks. So if you're ever watching a movie, once in a blue moon, you're going to see soundtrack by 2 famous one-hit wonders. Well, one didn't even make the top 40, which is, one is Mark Mothersbaugh from Devo, and the other one is the guy from Oingo Boingo. Weird Science was his minor song, probably not even the top 40. But what's the guy's name? Anyway, I can't remember the guy's name from Oingo Boingo. It slips my mind. But I do remember, though he definitely has shown up on major movie soundtracks, like probably a good 15 or 20 major films you've used this guy from Oingo Boingo. I see his face with the freaked out blonde hair and everything. I can't remember. Anyway, next song, Lips Inc. Massive disco song. Steve Greenberg, I think, was the guy behind it. One of these, guys who played all the instrument types or most of the instruments. And Funky Town was the song. You see it on commercials because it was so big. And it was like everywhere for that year. And you still hear it here and there because it was such a great dance song. It wasn't just a good dance song. It was a great dance song, great infectious beat. After that is Turning Japanese by the Vapors, 1980. Never heard much from these guys at all. It was some kind of a self-love song. I'm not going to go into further description, but that's the theme of it. And they kind of, maybe, they kind of said your eyes go funny when you do certain things. So nowadays you can't say that, oh, you look like Japanese. You can't say anything. It's too edgy. You can't say something that offends a culture, maybe references a culture that maybe might be taken the wrong way. But it was a good song. Next one was kind of one of these bland songs, but cute. Robbie Dupree, "Steal Away" was kind of a into the night. It was a pretty song, not really stand out to be brilliant type of song, but a pop hit nonetheless. And he might have written other songs for other people. I seem to remember something along those lines, but I cannot give you more than that about Robbie Dupree. Next is a song where the guy whose name it is the singer, Grover Washington Jr. Just the Two of Us. Very, very jazzy kind of feel to it. Got to number 2, if I remember. And Bill Withers, who had a lot of songs like "Lean on Me" and "Use Me" and all that, he was a singer on this song. So he's the singer on Just the Two of Us, but you don't get it. His name isn't used. So Grover Washington did a thing like Quincy Jones, where Quincy Jones, he had 1 or 2 hits, something about a garden or whatever it was, where he didn't. It's Quincy Jones, but he's not singing it. So it's a similar. Another song I remember hearing that Tommy Tutone, 8675309 Jenny, actually people who had those numbers, phone numbers, and they got calls. So I think people got mad at Tommy Tutone because his song was big at the time, and then people with the same phone number were getting phone calls. Soft Cell was a cover version, their song "Tainted Love." Now that was massive. That was bigger than the last 10 or 15 songs. It was so huge. It was like mind-blowingly big. Every 5 seconds with that great synthesizer. Mark Allman was the lead singer. If I remember, it was a black singer who did the original of this. Now that was a great song too, but you don't hear it because it wasn't the hit. It was a big hit in England, but it was not a big deal in North America. So they got the most of it, but they didn't write it, but they certainly adapted it. It was very different than the original. Next one is Bertie Higgins, Key Largo. Nice kind of Jimmy Buffett style, maybe a little more laid back. Key Largo was a pretty song. I mean, Key Largo was a movie with Humphrey Bogart. And you'd think a guy with the aptitude to come up with a pretty song like that would stick around, but can't figure out why he didn't make a big impact. But he did have that hit. Next was a band I did see live. And Quarter Flash, they opened for Elton John around 1981. So I saw them on the tour for this song, "Heart in My Heart." They had a couple of more songs. They had a song about a photograph or something, "Take My Picture" or whatever. And they went on stage with the camera and they were taking instant pictures. And for my poor son, he really wanted this. He's only 8 and he wanted an Instamatic. So I'm very good to these kids. So what do? I go on Amazon and I buy an instant camera where the picture comes out after you take it. And he was so excited, and the damn thing couldn't be loaded well. We kept placing the paper in there, special paper, and then you would touch it, and then it would come out blank, and then it wouldn't come out at all. And it was one of these things, you just you get so insanely upset, and I just got tired of it. It didn't work. The kid didn't cry. He just said, okay, and I whipped it back in the box and sent it back to Amazon, and they gave me my money back. But this is one problem with Amazon. It's a pain. You buy stuff that looks like unbelievable on the internet, on their website, and then you get it, and it's just something that doesn't work. I bought a shirt that was very itchy, and I had to send that back. What was the last thing I bought that wasn't any good? Oh, yeah, we bought an organ from China where it was broken into about 17 pieces. No joke. And these Chinese people wanted a picture, they wanted proof, they wanted this. And then they said, well, you don't have to give it back. We'll just give you your money back. And they did. And it actually played. My son taped it back together. It was like, it's all lopsided, but it works. Red Rider next, Lunatic Fringe. Another song I didn't think was a top 40. So I'm really wondering how they get these figures. Maybe it was. But anyway, I didn't come up with the list. I'm just thrilled to just discuss it. But Red Rider contained Tom Cochrane, he's one of these elusive live acts for me because when I had chances to see him, he opened up for an act like he opened up for John Mellencamp about 3 or 4 years ago. And I've seen John Mellencamp twice, so I don't really want to go see John Mellencamp again. But the only way to see Tom Cochrane was at that time was to, you have to pay for seeing John Mellencamp again. And I like John Mellencamp, but I didn't see myself wanted to see him a third time, so I didn't go. And Tom Cochrane had Life is a Highway, and then it was done by some country act, Brooks and Dunn or something, or I forget who did the remake. But he's come to town, Tom Cochrane, several times in the past, but it was always under the radar kind of thing. Maybe it was last minute. I just didn't go. I kind of regret it because he's like a very talented guy, singer-songwriter, got a good edgy rock voice, and who knows? I've emailed him to ask him come back, but he doesn't really listen to me. Okay, moving on down the list of wonders. Let's see if it says who is putting this list together. I wonder. You know what? This might not be a Billboard. Oh, it is Billboard. So I don't know. I must have missed Tom Cochrane being in the top 40. I mean, Lunatic Fringe by Red Rider, which is his band. But I'm going to have disagreements with this list at some time. Tom Tom Club, Genius of Love. I saw this is Tom Franz and Tina Weymouth, and they did this song. I saw these two, Weymouth and Franz, in a Talking Heads show. It was called The Heads because David Byrne wasn't there, so they obviously didn't get cut. They didn't want to cut him in on. Maybe he said, "I don't want Talking Heads as the name of this band because I'm not in this band, and I find it silly to take the name that I founded with you guys, and you're taking it without me, and you're running around doing little crappy shows." It was with Napolitano from Concrete Blonde, and I could see, she was pissed off. She was in a foul mood that night, snapping at somebody about something, and she hated doing that show. God, I wish I took pictures or videos of her like with an angry, vicious face. She probably was making like $300 for the show. I mean, it wasn't a big club. It was Cafe Campus, and it was okay, but she was singing for David Byrne. I mean, but Genius of Love is a phenomenally interesting song because not only did three members come from bands with other hits, who I just listed to you, Genius of Love made these Weymouth and Franz massive amounts of money because Mariah Carey had a number one song, and they used the sample, "Sweet Sweet Fantasy Baby." That's it. They used the sample of "Genius of Love" was like going throughout the song. So obviously they have to pay these two if they wrote it. I'm 99% sure these two people did write it, and they cashed in. Another act that kind of had a poppy bubblegum style, and you would think she would have stuck around longer. Toni Basil with Mickey. You heard it so much back then with that infectious shuffle beat of hers. She did have a thing called Shopping A to Z, but it bombed, and that's it. Was not hanging around for a long time after that. But it is a great song. You should go look it up. After the Far, here's a band that two people came out with a hit with the same time. One of them was After the Fire. I think it was first. And the song Der Kommissar. Then the next one, somebody else, I think was it Peter Schilling? Oh my God. I can't remember. Anyway, somebody else did have a hit with it too. And I can't remember who's like. I think After the Fire was the better one. I don't remember. But it wasn't Peter Schilling. It was another one of these German Martin. Oh boy. I hope my buddy there who corrected me last time still cares enough to listen so he can correct me, because I don't remember who the other band was. It's not really, but there were two. And After that, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Genius Rap. Now that's a head scratcher. Don't know, don't remember much about those guys. Thomas Dolby, She Blinded Me with Science. Classic one and wonder. You know why? Because the guy, the song was a novelty song. It was like weird. He was talking, and they were little doot doot doot. His name was Thomas Morgan Robertson, and maybe the Dolby was because he was a producer and he liked the Dolby sound or whatever. Hyperactive, he had a good song with that. And he did production. So one of these, some of the, like I've said many times, a lot of these guys, they're doing work behind the scenes. They're not relying on the one song to keep them alive. They did other stuff. Now the next one, she's more famous for having her song taken and put in another song. Patrice Rushen, Forget Me Nots. Now, if you go on YouTube or you have it somewhere, you listen to that. I know for sure that Will Smith, one of his songs, he used that beat. The beat that runs through Forget Me Nots. I can't remember. It wasn't Get Jiggy With. It was one of these other ones. But you'll know the beat. It's been used by more than Will Smith. Patrice Rushen, I don't know what happened. The next band I did see live, they opened up for Roxy Music and whoever the other band was. It was Modern English, Roxy Music, and Men Without Hats, who was actually on this list. But they're incorrect, I believe. I'm Out With You. Now, you hear the commercials again. It's another catchy song. I don't think it made the top 40. But I don't know how they came up with this list. I'm Out With You for sure. You know it if you watch TV. The commercials about a year or two ago had I'm Out With You on it. The one after that is Dexy's Midnight Runners, Come On Eileen. And yeah, they were big in England with 3 or 4 or 5 songs. But this is the only one that really made it to the United States. Come On Eileen, you hear it a lot. And the next one on here is, we're into 1982 on One Hit Wonders, Madness, Our House. Now, I remember another song that they did, This Must Be Love. So I'm scratching my head and saying, well, how do you say they had one hit? And I remember the second song being pretty big. But Our House has also been on a commercial. It seems like these mindless, non-innovative commercial writers just go and they look for songs from the 80s, 70s, and 60s, and they make commercials out of them. But that was a catchy song. I liked it at the time. Bow Wow Wow, I Want Candy. Now, I was on YouTube earlier, and I listened to because Aaron Carter's been in the news. This is originally done by the Strangeloves in the 60s. Then Bow Wow Wow had a bit of a hit, I Want Candy. And then I saw Aaron Carter because he's in the news for having been like known to be kind of broke. His brother Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys, I think he took out a restraining order on him. He tattooed his face. So he did I Want Candy as well. But this Bow Wow Wow was alternative style. Next is a song I never liked. I don't have many songs that I can say I don't like, but it was so drab. I didn't see what the big why they had a hit with this. Love Plus One, Haircut 100, just forgettable. So I'm gonna end it with this next song. Again, I have to wonder about it being here. Men Without Hats is Safety Dance. Now I have met this man 2 times. The safety Ivan Durushchuk. The reason why I'm saying I thought he had 2 hits because they had a song called Pop Goes the World. And to me, that was top 40. So where's the cutoff number? So to me, I don't think they're a one-hit wonder, but these people, they think it is. Anyway, I did in CJEP, I did a show. I was on 20, and Men Without Hats came in, and they said, we're here to do the interview with blah, 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 whoever it was. So I never heard of these people. This was like 3-4 years before they had the hit, 2 years. So I said, well, he's not here. They sat around. I don't remember if I talked to them on air or not. I mean, we're dealing with almost 40 years ago. But I talked to them off the air, and they were brothers. And then there must have been other members, but only the 2 brothers came in. And when you're an unknown band, you don't know the guy's going to have a massive worldwide hit like all over the world 2 years later. I mean, who thinks that if I knew that they'd be this massive band, or if they had already had the hits, I would have been thrilled to meet them. But I either said hi guys, we're here with Them in Their Hats, and that was it, or I talked to them. I can't remember, but I know that there was a big article about Ivan Doroschuk, and he said that he literally makes a living off the money he makes for airplay. It's in movies. His music is in movies, commercials, TV shows, and of course, if he wants to tour a little bit, people will go see him a little bit, maybe a few hundred at a time. And he said that he survives off that little run of songs that he had. Good for you, Ivan. Maybe it's destiny a third time I might bump into you, but I don't hang out in Montreal. I don't even think you live here anymore. So we'll thank everyone for the future, for the current, listening to my show, Eddie G's Music World. We are ending our show, and I do thank all of you for listening, and it was my pleasure. November 4th, 2019. Eddie G's Music World, more one-hit wonders. Thank you and goodbye.